A tale of two campaigns. Donald Trump was in Porterville, Michigan, where he ranted and raved like a lunatic about Al Capone liking how he kills people. Trump randomly talking about beautiful young daughters, and Donald Trump saying that he must be a good speaker because he speak long. I will show you what Donald Trump said in Porterville, Michigan. Then we will contrast that with Vice President Kamala Harris's tour around Georgia and the speech that she gave in front of a packed crowd in Savannah, where she talked about actual policies that will benefit America's middle class and called out Donald Trump's dangerous plans to turn America into an authoritarian nation. We're going to cover Donald Trump's unhinged, misogynistic, and disgusting posts that he was making. You know, we reported it first here on the MeidasTouch Network, post after post after post, QAnon post, filthy, disgusting, misogynistic post, just strange behavior. We call it out here on the MeidasTouch. We've seen other corporate media begin to now talk about it, some better than others. We will cover that here as well. JD Vance spoke before the Firefighter Union conference in Boston, where Governor Walz was welcomed warmly. JD Vance was welcomed by the firefighters who were wearing shirts that say Trump is a scab and booing him. We'll talk about that and more here on the MeidasTouch Podcast. Jordy's back in action. And of course, we've got Brett. There's so much going on. I want to keep that intro nice and short. Brett, how are you?
Very impressive, Ben. That's pretty good. I'm good. I'm excited to have Jordy back on the show. I know the Meidas Mighty has missed Jordy. Jordy, back in good health. You're looking good. You feeling good?
Feeling great, big bros. Feeling good. Ready to go.
Good. Meidas Mighty was worried about you. Brothers, we hit 3 million subscribers yesterday on YouTube. I just want to send my thank you to everybody out there for making this possible and to let everyone know how important you are to this all. This is your 3 million subscribers as well. We are so grateful for the support, for getting it out there, and not even just for that 3 million number, but just the way this message is getting out so wide. You see now the corporate media begin to finally, in ways like Ben was saying, cover some of these important issues that folks need to hear about. So I'm happy that our message is spreading far and wide. It's awesome. It's such an incredible accomplishment. And thank you.
Let's
Jordy,
get into it right away and show the contrast. Oh, Jordy, did you not say what's up?
No,
I wanted to say what's up. It was a bit of a different intro. We tossed to me, then we tossed it back to Brett. But I do want to say this really quickly, building on what Brett just said. I keep seeing people out there say, and they're being very kind. I'm seeing them say, "Hey, Jordy, congratulations to you and the brothers." And of course I say thank you, but also I say thank you. Like, this movement, it's never been about the me. It's always been about the we, the collective we, the we, the people, the we, the pro-normal, the we, the pro-democracy. And if we could be a beacon or an amplifier of pro-democracy voices, sign me up and put me in, coach. I know we're doing an excellent job at that. But let me just reemphasize, this movement, it's built on values and ideals, and not a specific person or people, but rather guiding principles of how we all want to see our great nation thrive. And it's this community that's going to make sure that we get there, that we get to the place that we need to be as a country, not just for this generation, but for generations to come. And look, to quote one of our favorite phrases now, we are not going back. Ben.
We are not going back. We're moving forward. But I got to show you the contrast here, because elections are about choices, and there's really no both sidesism here. On the one hand, you have Donald Trump in Potterville, Michigan, talking about Al Capone. Let me show you Donald Trump's talking about Al Capone in Potterville. Play the clip.
In the last year, I think I had 9 indictments, far more than Alphonse Capone, who was quite well known in Chicago and the environs. He liked killing people, but he had nothing like me. 9 times.
Now Donald Trump talks about a beautiful young daughter. Play this clip.
Thank you. Great job. What a beautiful young daughter. What a beautiful young daughter.
Weird, creepy, especially from someone found liable of sexual assault. especially someone who hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, especially someone who said Jeffrey Epstein is a great guy who likes women on the younger side. Trump meant girls, especially from someone who wished Ghislaine Maxwell well at her sex trafficking trial, especially someone who employed people at Mar-a-Lago who were later trafficked by Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, or someone who was on Epstein's jet many, many times and on his list, the phone logs, the deposition transcripts. But I digress. Here, Donald Trump says that he's a great speaker because he speak long. Here, play this clip.
So bad. I saw her make a speech. It was so bad. And after they get off, this was one of the greatest performances we've ever seen in our country. With me, I make a speech. I speak for 2 hours. Everybody loves it. I got thousands of people, by the way, outside trying to get in. They never said Trump's a great speaker. I don't even want that. But I must be a great speaker, right? I must. We got thousands of people.
The speech was supposed to be about the economy. He was supposed to be addressing his economic policies. And that's what he's talking about. Then Donald Trump once again reiterates that he thinks it's better for donors of his to get Presidential Medal of Honors, or to get the Medal of Freedom rather than get the Medal of Honor. He says that the Presidential Medal of Freedom better than the Medal of Honor, which is given for courage in war and often posthumously for soldiers who die in battle. Play this clip.
I always say there are two awards: is the Medal of Honor, and oftentimes is posthumously, where they're not there. Oftentimes they've died in battle and they're getting the award. And then you have the civilian version, the Presidential Medal. And I always say I'd rather get the Presidential Medal because the guys that came in, other than you and a few others, oftentimes they've suffered greatly, right? They've suffered greatly, or they're not around.
So what, is he just quadrupling down on that? I mean, after what he previously said about that, I mean, there's no mincing his words there. We'll talk a little bit later in the show about Donald Trump's campaign staff physically attacking someone who worked at the Arlington Cemetery so Trump could film a photo op and a commercial at Arlington Cemetery during a wreath-laying ceremony, which he was not allowed to do, and it's against the rules. But I digress. Here, Donald Trump says that nobody knows Vice President Kamala Harris's name. There's 19 different ways to say it, but he says Kamala is the one that sometimes people know. Play this clip.
And nobody really knows her. They were doing something, the man on the street, they said, you know Harris? Everyone's saying, who the hell is Harris? Nobody knows who Harris is. What's the vice president's name? They have no idea what the name is. Now, the name Kamala is... it's a little complex because about 19 different ways of pronouncing it, right? But Kamala is, at least it's a name you sort of remember. You can't use Harris because nobody knows who the hell Harris is. Who's Harris? We want somebody they know. And, one of the reasons they don't know, she did a lousy job. She was...
backstage, Donald Trump was interviewed by an NBC reporter, and then he later said on stage that this NBC reporter treated him very unfairly. What Donald Trump actually said to the reporter who asked him a good question, how is he going to vote on Florida's 6-week abortion ban? Donald Trump undercut his entire political party's platform and said that he will vote to overturn Florida's 6-week abortion ban. Let me show you this clip. Let's play it.
You overturned Roe, and you want abortion to be a states' rights issue. In Florida, the state that you are a resident of, there's an abortion-related amendment on the ballot to overturn the 6-week ban in Florida. How are you going to vote on that?
Well, I think the 6-week is too short. It has to be more time, and so and I've told them that I want more weeks.
So you'll vote in favor of the amendment?
I am going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. Look, just so you understand.
And so that would seem to undercut everything his political party has said, undercut everything that he said. And he was the person who overturned Roe v. Wade, which allowed for there to be these abortion bans in the first place. And there was a tragic stat that Vice President Kamala Harris talks about, how just overwhelmingly in most states you have these abortion bans that have prevented women from having reproductive rights and autonomy over their own bodies. Let's compare what just took place, though, in Michigan at that speech that was supposed to be on the economy in Potterville. Vice President Kamala Harris was in Savannah, Georgia, and let's just talk about her saying that she's going to focus on the middle class and working class families first. Let's play this clip.
And unlike Donald Trump, always put the middle class and working class families first. Always. I come from the middle class. I know what I'm talking about.
Show you what happens when a protester interrupted. Let's play this clip.
Hold up for a second. Let me just say something. We are fighting for a democracy. Everyone has a right and should have their voices heard. I am speaking now, but on the subject, I will say this. The president and I are working around the clock. We've got to get a hostage deal done and get a ceasefire done now.
Next, Vice President Kamala Harris talks about Project 2025. Let's play that clip.
And he would create a national anti-abortion coordinator and force states to report on women's miscarriages and abortions. It's right there in Project 2025. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Simply put, they are out of their minds.
That's such a great line that she's been using over and over again. And here, Vice President Kamala Harris fires up the crowd at the end of her speech. Let's play it.
So, Savannah, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, God bless you and God bless the United States of America.
Pitch perfect. Now, I want to do one more comparison, then we'll tie it all together, give some commentary. I want to show the J.D. Vance speech in Boston at the Firefighter Union conference. J.D. Vance was introduced and he was booed as he was introduced. I think we have that clip. Let's play that one.
Semper Fi, guys. We got some, it sounds like we got some fans and some haters. That's okay.
Yes, calling the firefighters haters and then randomly saying Semper Fi and calling them haters. That's an interesting tact and approach right there. Here he says that Trump and I are the most pro-worker ticket in history. He gets booed again. Play this clip.
President Trump and I are proud to be the most pro-worker Republican ticket in history. And I want to talk about why we're fighting for working people, why we're going to fight for unions and non-union alike.
Then he talks about how the RNC was filled with powerful speakers and you should judge the various candidates, him and Donald Trump, based on who were speaking at the convention. And one of the people he cites to show that they're a real serious ticket is the WWE has-been Hulk Hogan. Play that clip.
Republican and Democrat conventions we just had. It says a lot who each party chose to put up on that stage. At the Republican convention, we were featuring everyday American workers, and of course, we had Hulk Hogan. And while it's tempting, and I'm sure it would make some big headlines, don't worry, everybody, I'm not going to try to take off my shirt here.
I mean, he has like absolutely zero comedic timing. He's not funny. I'll just show you. I want to do one more clip, and this was at a prior speech that he gave yesterday. And here he addresses on his own the physical altercation that a Trump campaign staffer had with an Arlington Cemetery staffer, where the Trump campaign physically assaulted the Arlington Cemetery staffer so that Donald Trump could get a photo op at the cemetery for the campaign. Campaigning at the Arlington Cemetery is strictly prohibited. And here's what Vance had to say about that. Let's play this clip.
Now, it is amazing to me that you have apparently somebody at Arlington Cemetery, some staff member, had a little disagreement with somebody, and the media has turned this into a national news story. You know what I think our veterans care a lot more about? That Kamala Harris's VP nominee lied about his military service. I think that our veterans care a lot more about that.
No, I think it's important that we check in on what the chair of the Republican Party, Lara Trump, has been talking about as well. It's been a pretty tumultuous 48 hours for the Trump campaign. The Fox News poll has Donald Trump trailing in most of the key swing states, down in Arizona, down in Nevada, and down in Georgia. A Bloomberg poll has Donald Trump down in mostly all of the states as well. That just came out today. So I'm just wondering, like, if you're the chair of the Republican Party right now, what are you focused on? And let's hear from Lara Trump.
So we found out that, you dabble in music and you started working with music, and this song fits you. You know what I mean? It fits our country. And like, we were so honored to actually have you, one, find the time, to meet up with us in the studio in New York, and also be able to do such an amazing job, working with our producer, Brad Cox. I know that it's hard to do things in the studio sometimes, but you nailed it. And we think that everybody's going to love this song. You got a tremendous, beautiful voice.
Thank you. Yeah, when it's not hoarse, when I'm not overusing.
Brett, Jordy, now is the time where we can. I wanted to show all of those together because I think they all tell a story. And before giving you my commentary, I want people who are watching the Meidas Mighty to see all of that and just to form their own opinions rather than me just, he said this, she said this, they said this. Brett, you first.
Well, the clips speak for themselves, let's face it. But if we had to go into it like that, and first off, the energy at the two rallies could not be more different. Trump's rallies are all about me, 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 me. Once again, like Ben said before, that was supposed to be an event about the economy. Did you hear anything about the economy? No. And this is also how Fox gaslights their viewers into trying to, I saw Aaron Rupar and using this term the other day online, sane wash Donald Trump. They cut away and then they try to act like what Donald Trump was saying that was actually completely insane was somewhat sane. They cut away from this rally too while Donald Trump kept rambling on about all these things, and they go, that's Donald Trump taking it to Kamala Harris on the economy, expressing his economic vision. I was like, no, he did not. That was not what I heard, actually. But they just lie. It's just straight up propaganda all the time. But you see, it's just depressing. The crowds are depressing. It's all me, me, me. It's all, oh, why does nobody say I'm the best speaker? Why are they fawning over her? It's all these weird lines, more disrespecting of veterans right after one of the biggest veteran scandals that I've seen of him desecrating Arlington National Cemetery. I mean, the guy just doubles down. And then you see Vice President Harris's rally. It's uplifting. It's not about me, 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 me. It's here's what I'm going to do for you. She's listing out her plans. She is talking about the best of America. She's speaking about actually what she's going to do and how it fits into her vision of the American dream. Like, it could not be more different. You hear those crowds. You see videos of the crowds dancing before the show. They're having a good time. They're fired up. You hear them at the end. They're ready to go out there. They're ready to vote. They're ready to knock on doors. They're ready to actually do the work. They're not just there to watch a carnival barker like they are at these Donald Trump rallies. And then you go to JD Vance. JD Vance has to be one of the most people who is most uncomfortable in his skin that I have ever seen. He tries to deliver these jokes at every rally now. They always fall completely flat. They're always just so awkward. He's trying to act tough, I think, for Donald Trump because he knows that I think Donald Trump thinks he is incredibly weak and that Donald Trump regrets, I believe, his pick of JD Vance. So he tries to add these lines now. Like there was even a part that we didn't play where he goes, and I want to tell Kamala Harris, you gotta go to hell. And it's like, it's weird, dude. Like, what are you doing? It's weird. It's mean spirited. It's not funny. It doesn't come off well. It makes you look like a creep. It makes you look like a weirdo, probably because you are. That's just your natural aura that is projecting there. Then he brings up the veteran story. And what does he do with the veteran story? He uses it to then shame another veteran, to attack another veteran, lying about Tim Walz's record, lying about Tim Walz's military service, which is something that he has made a big plank of his efforts against Tim Walz to attack a fellow veteran for his 24 or so years of military service. Like, how disgraceful is that? And also attacking the staffer at Arlington National Cemetery, which now the Donald Trump campaign is actively doing. You see the Trump campaign, you see his various advisors. They're actually attacking the U.S. Army, and they're attacking the workers at the Arlington National Cemetery. I shouldn't have to say this, but if you are getting into feuds with the Arlington National Cemetery as a presidential candidate and you want to be commander-in-chief, that right there is disqualifying. Even if you remove everything else that we're going to be speaking about in this episode, that alone is disqualifying. And we see, let me show you this comment if I have it. We have Chris LaCivita. This is one of Donald Trump's co-chairs, along with Susie Wiles. He called the Secretary of the U.S. Army hacks in a Twitter post today. He reposted one of the videos they made while they were at the Arlington National Cemetery, and he wrote, reposting this, hoping to trigger the hacks at Sec Army. Like, why would you think that's a good idea to try to attack the Secretary of the Army? Donald Trump, of course, made a TikTok advertisement with his footage that he illegally took at this rally, and we at the cemetery, rather, at this event. And we got a statement from the cemeterian, which went after them for this. You know, they said that they routinely host these ceremonies, that the Arlington National Ceremony has conducted 3,000 of these ceremonies a year without incident. And this is the first one where they actually had a problem. And just to show you the danger, the threat of MAGA, the reason why the staffer, who was a female, is not pressing charges is because she doesn't want to be threatened by Donald Trump and his MAGA minions. It's this idea of stochastic terrorism. So that's what we're dealing with. The contrast could not be clearer when you're looking at this. As we've said in the past, it's really the very best of America and the actual ideals of America versus the very worst of America and people who actively hate our country. Jordy.
You said it perfectly. No need to restate anything. But one thing you did miss is what I'm actually genuinely concerned about. Did you guys know that Lara Trump is the voice of a whole generation? This is how delusional they are. This is how delusional the Trump. Lara Trump, Ben, in her heart of hearts, thinks that she's a global icon superstar. And you know what I have to say to that? Go, Lara, go. I am her biggest. Go, Lara, go, man. You're doing an awesome job. Head of the RNC, folks. Let's go.
Or those haircuts too. Our audio listeners can't see them, but the haircuts in the Lara Trump interview, they had like Mr. T haircuts or something, like these weird mohawks.
Yeah, I just can't get over the fact that Lara Trump genuinely believes that she is the MAGA Taylor Swift.
These are the shows she's going on.
It's unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable. Ben,
let's take a first quick break. When we come back, we've got a lot to discuss. Thank you for helping us hit that 3 million subscriber mark. We appreciate it. If you want to support the growth of this independent media platform, it's patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch, and make sure you are subscribed. Let's get to 4 million. Let's get to 5 million. Let's get to 6 million. Let's take our first quick break of the show. It's that time of year. Football season is kicking off, and Prize Picks is the ultimate way to amp up your game day experience. As America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, Prize Picks makes it incredibly easy and exciting to play. So here's the deal. You simply pick more or less on player stat projections. It's just you against the numbers, not complicated matchups against other players. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks. With as little as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks.
Preseason football is underway, but you can also pick more or less on 2024 season stats on Prize Picks. Will Patrick Mahomes throw for more or less than 4,300 yards? Will CJ Stroud's sophomore season result in more or less than 4,150 yards? Enter your season picks before week 1 kicks off. I made my first $10 deposit and received an instant $10 bonus. If you have the skills, you can play for a shot at turning your $10 into $1,000. Want to join?
Download the Prize Picks app today and use code Meidas and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code Meidas on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game.
I have to tell you about this game-changing product I use before a night out with drinks. It's called pre-alcohol. Let's face it, after a night of drinks, I don't bounce back the next day like I used to. I used to feel like I had to make a choice. I could either have a great night or a great next day. But now, I don't have to choose, thanks to pre-alcohol. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's actually this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your next rough day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme that breaks this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Every time I have pre-alcohol before drinks, I notice a difference the next day. Even after a night out, I can confidently plan on getting up early for a workout or handling a busy work day without worry. I won't lie, I was a bit on the fence about pre-alcohol at first, but then while hanging out with some friends at a rooftop bar, I gave it a shot. I had my first pre-alcohol before my go-to margarita, and the next morning, I felt amazing, just like my normal self, ready to take on the day. I kept hearing about pre-alcohol and wondered what it was actually like. Now that I've tried it, I believe the hype, and with their GMO technology, ZBiotics is working on more products to address other toxic byproducts of modern living in the gut. Go to zbiotics.com/Meidas to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use the code Meidas at checkout. That's MEIDAS. ZBiotics is backed by a 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/Meidas and use that code Meidas, MEIDAS at checkout for 15% off.
Let's go. Shout out to our pro-democracy sponsors. Links in the description of both audio and the video of the YouTube. So definitely check them out. Prize Picks sports season starting up. They are probably the most reputable name in that whole industry. So if you're into it, check it out. We love it here on the network. And ZBiotics has been a big partner of ours. So we're so happy to see them come on for more. And we're so happy to let you guys know about the awesome service that they provide with their products. So check it out. It's truly wonderful. And I got one for you guys here too, real quick, before we jump back into action. We're doing a sale. Store.MeidasTouch.com. We are doing a sale, folks. Code Union through the end of Monday, and we'll get 10% off all merch. It's another way you can help support this pro-democracy movement, support the network. That's store.MeidasTouch.com. Use code Union. You can use it any day through end of day Monday at store.MeidasTouch.com and get 10% off. Benji, where are we going to next, big bro?
Big. That's big.
Well, let me show you when we talk about corporate media both sidesing the issues. I want to show you after MeidasTouch reported about post after post that Trump was making, misogynistic, hateful, despicable QAnon type stuff. Let me show you how CNN dealt with this issue. Let's play it.
Going pretty low, I'd say very low, in online attacks against Vice President Harris. This is the trolling wars between the two campaigns have been escalating for several weeks. One of Trump's former top advisors joins me on that next.
The trolling wars between the two campaigns is accelerating. So it's a both sides thing, right? On the one hand, you have Donald Trump making posts like this photo of Vice President Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton saying, funny how blowjobs impacted both of their careers differently, or Donald Trump making posts of President Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Vice President Kamala Harris, Dr. Fauci, Hillary Clinton in orange jumpsuits, or another post saying indict the unselect January 6th committee for sedition, retruth if you want to lock them up, or how about this one, all roads lead to Obama, retruth if you want to see public military tribunals, or this post of special counsel Jack Smith looks like it's drawn by a a 3-year-old petulant, no offense to 3-year-old petulant like bullies with devil horns and red eyes on special counsel Jack Smith, or the post that's Donald Trump holding a Q plus for QAnon in his hand that says the world will soon understand nothing can stop what is coming. A reference to Donald Trump engaging in public executions on Capitol Hill, which is one of the beliefs of the death cult called QAnon that Donald Trump is posting right there. And other posts just like that. Or how about this one where Trump goes, "It's always fake with Kamala. We're dominating her on social media, so she makes up fake list of her numbers versus my numbers, whine, blah, blah, blah." Just so much whining right there over and over and over again. So I'm trying to understand the CNN's characterization of this as this is part of the troll wars. Any single one of those posts should be disqualified. Who behaves like that? If anybody who you worked with behaved like that, they should be fired and terminated immediately. If anybody in a nonprofit behaved like that, they should be terminated immediately. If anybody
and let's remember the end of that also, what they said, right? Well, not only was the segment set up with that both sides framing, but they were bringing on a Trump person to discuss it. That's what they were doing. They're going to have a Trump person to discuss Trump's post. I mean, the hypocrisy of these networks. And there were finally, I need to give some of these networks credit, and Anderson Cooper did cover this. And thankfully, he acted like it was kind of the first time that Donald Trump has ever said anything like this. But this is why we call these things out every single day. Donald Trump posts multiple, maybe dozens, sometimes hundreds of QAnon memes every single day. That's the death cult Ben was talking about that demands public executions of Donald Trump's enemies. Hundreds, sometimes a day. He's posted thousands over the past few years, and they are utterly ignored. He posts these horrific, sexist, misogynistic memes like every single day. And so I'm happy they're reporting on it, but hello, where have you been this whole time? And then when you finally start getting your footing on this and getting it right, to go, oh, this is just part of the trolling wars. Let's bring on a Trump advisor to come and speak about what they think about this light trolling. This isn't light troll. Trolling is Kamala Harris going, "Hey, Donald Trump, we got bigger crowds than you." That's the trolling. That's the trolling war. Okay. This is not trolling wars. This is, as Ben said, utterly disqualifying, deranged, unhinged behavior that if this person was an employee or applying for any job you could possibly name, they would be unfit for it.
Couldn't agree more with you. But the actual number is over 3,000 QAnon posts over the past 2 years. Over 3,000 posts of a death cult over and over again. And what's interesting is, as Donald Trump, that last one that I read where Donald Trump goes, "It's always fake with Kamala. We're dominating her on social media. So she makes up a fake list of her numbers versus my numbers. All of our engagement is real and organic while Kamala has to pay for her fake engagement. We're beating her like a drum." By the way, who even talks like that? But, as always, projection and confession with Donald Trump. We previously showed you how Donald Trump would post AI images of the Swifties and of Taylor Swift, and he accepted a fake AI endorsement of the Swifties and Taylor Swift. How pathetic can you get doing that? But what we learned yesterday from this great report that Benjamin Strick did, it's a network of fake accounts are posing as young American women, posting pro-Trump content and disinformation, but they're hiding behind and manipulating the images of European fashion influencers. It's their latest investigation, and it was an incredible report where it actually located these Eastern European models, and these women's photos were being used, and they were having MAGA hats put on them when they weren't really wearing MAGA hats. And then it would just be these weirdo MAGA dudes behind the scenes, politically catfishing basically, and then pushing out all of the kind of MAGA culture war stuff to try to divide Americans, using as the front Eastern European models wearing fake MAGA hats. So quite literally, Donald Trump is doing the fake engagement right there. And again, I just remember growing up where if a candidate spelled potato wrong, that would be disqualified. I remember when Howard Dean shouted, "We're going here, woo!" and that was disqualified. I remember when John Kerry, it was a huge scandal when he went windsurfing and he just looked like he was wearing like the outfit and it just looked completely kind of detached from like reality. And I just remember all of, these moments along the way where the Fourth Estate, when it existed in a robust fashion, really before Donald Trump took a sledgehammer to them and just, made brainworms and mashed potato brains out of them, that there would be sometimes so much, the standards would be so high that the smallest little things would derail somebody. So, again, the fact that it's not a still, I mean, yes, Brett, some people were covering it, but you saw how CNN eventually had to, elasticity had to kind of contract and they had to bring it back to some bold side.
They had to normalize that to go, okay, we're CNN.
Oh, we're CNN. So there's actually, whoa, we can't be too mean to Trump. We have to say this is a bold
in fact, let's invite Donald Trump's person on here to discuss it and give his defense of these statements, which are indefensible.
But here's all CNN has to do, right? This is the frustrating part. Just report on the news, right? Just go through it and say, here, we report, you decide, right? Like here is what he's saying. Here's the post. He says, it's funny how blowjobs impacted both of their careers differently, with a photo of Vice President Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton. Hey, audience, hey, how do you think about that? Well, what do you think about the leader of the Republican Party, a party that once stood for family values, saying sexually harassing the leader of the other political party? You good with that? Would you be good if a coworker behaved like that? Would you be good if your child behaved like that? Or how about putting orange jumpsuit photos of the other candidate? How about saying indict for sedition the January 6th committee, or that there should be public military tribunals, or this, just like horrifically looking photo of like Jack Smith with the red eyes and the devil horns that looks like a 2-year-old drew it, no offense to 2-year-olds, or the QAnon. What do you think about that, audience? And just say what it is versus, we're going to have the Trump person come on. And what do you think the Trump person says? The Trump person says, this is what the Trump spokesperson says. I don't think the American people really care about this. The American people really want to focus on, and they give you their Trump talking points that then don't go checked, right? What Americans really want to focus on is the chaos at the border. What Americans want to focus on is all of the crime that's out there. What Americans want to focus on is how inflation is setting record highs, and CNN then doesn't, right? The segment's introduced as, look, if CNN wants to basically ask hard questions and stick to it, but that's not what happens. The Trump person goes on and then does the spin. Americans want to talk about that. And then CNN just lets him say it versus, oh, by the way, didn't Donald Trump kill the bipartisan border deal? Wasn't Donald Trump the one who killed that deal? That was lead negotiator was the Republican from Oklahoma, James Langford. And Donald Trump said he wants chaos at the border because that's a winning issue for him. Wasn't Donald Trump the one who added $8 trillion to the American debt, which actually caused inflation, as well as his tariffs with China in a failed trade war, as well as Donald Trump's tax cuts for billionaires while screwing over the middle class and American workers that couldn't be paid for, and mishandling COVID with a mishandled PPP program, printing money recklessly, and then not managing our supply chain, which, by the way, President Biden managed to do and handle well with things like the CHIPS Act to try to bring the semiconductor industry back to here. But Trump was not prepared for COVID. The supply chains broke down, and Donald Trump's DOJ did not prosecute price gouging at all. They encouraged it. So, CNN's not going to fact check them, so they can just say their talking points. And then even though Vice President Kamala Harris is ahead in all of the polls, we wonder why it's close. We wonder, like, okay, yes, she's up in Arizona now. She's up in Nevada, according to the Fox polls, right? She's up in Georgia. But man, why is it she's up in Michigan? She's up in Pennsylvania. She's up in Wisconsin. but like it's still like 1 point here, 2 point here, 3 points here, 1 point here. Although in some of the national polls, she's up significantly more. But it's going to come down to certain states. It's because people are getting a diet of disinformation, and they're getting this, and they're getting both sides. And people, and look, this is why I am why I can say sympathetic, why I spend so much time welcoming people who are former MAGA, even if it's tomorrow. Even if it's after January 6th, I don't judge them, because I know that there are billions of dollars spent to try to provide disinformation. And that is a powerful force. And I know how busy these people are. Sometimes they're working 2 jobs. They're trying to support their family. So they turn on a news channel, whether it's Fox or CNN or whatever, to try to get data. And then they don't get the data that they need. And it's every day it happens that way over and over again. So there's no way to look. But that's why when you finally convince your relative to watch the MeidasTouch network, why so frequently people go, oh, crap. And it's not, and we're not yelling the stuff. It's like we're showing the data. Like, let me show you this data right here. I'm going to give you a perfect example. Are you ready for this? As CNN and corporate media tried to be like, Donald Trump's great for the economy. Okay, well, first off, he's the only president other than Herbert Hoover to actually lose jobs. People call Donald Trump Pervert Hoover, but he's a lot like Herbert Hoover in that sense. Take a look at what Carl Quintanilla from CNBC posted today. Data, chart. People are starting new businesses right now at extraordinary rates. In other words, the American dream right now. And you take a look, a dip during COVID right there, but Donald Trump didn't increase. And then boom, all of a sudden under President Biden, because of policies like the Inflation Reduction Act, the Infrastructure Act, the CHIPS Act, actually focusing on the middle class, child tax credits, relieving student debt, which allows people to go out and actually function in the economy, we see a massive rise in new businesses forming. There's also a manufacturing boom taking place right now. You know how all the MAGA Republicans want to attack Green New Deal this, Green New that. Those are jobs. Those are factories where workers like the ones that Brett and I went to in Pueblo, Colorado, where there were hundreds of new workers and thousands of new workers going to be employed through windmills. When Donald Trump goes, wind, wow, 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 wow. No, those are jobs. And not only it's the windmill, it's then the freight, it's the trains that bring the parts. It impacts the entire country, the people who make the parts for the windmills. And that deals with inflation because you don't have to deal with the supply chain issues when the factory was in Vietnam and you'd have to deal with shipping issues. So let's focus on the facts and the data. You know, when Donald Trump's people go on all of the shows and they're like, the stock market is setting record highs now because of Trump. That's why. It's right now, even though Trump said in 2020 the stock market would crash, which it did not do despite him trying to do it if he wasn't elected again. But they say right now it's record highs because of Donald Trump. Well, okay, let's take a look at the stock that has Donald Trump's actual name on it, right? Like you would think that one would be crushing it under the theory that people are amped about him, even though it's a stupid theory. But here's Donald Trump stock, okay? It's trading under $20. Now, if you looked at these 6 months of Trump media, you would see that for the past 6 months, Trump media has dropped about 60% in the past 6 months. Meanwhile, the United States stock market, since Donald Trump stopped disgracing the Oval Office, is up about 50%. And you can see on the chart there where Trump left and when the Biden-Harris administration took place. So the United States stock market, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, the S&P are basically up 50% right now since Trump left. But the Trump stock is down 60% over the past 6 months. Make that make sense. I could actually make it make sense very easily. You go back, you look at Donald Trump's history of running businesses into the ground, bankruptcy after bankruptcy, not a builder, a destroyer. Everything he touched, from Trump vodka to Trump mortgage to Trump airplanes to the hotels to the university, bankrupt, crash, crash, crash. And what did the deep state go back in a time capsule from the future? And were they the reason that he's failed his entire life with every single thing essentially that he's done?
The only thing he's been able to do is grift people over and over again. He found a willing home in the Republican Party where they welcomed scammers for generations, took over that party, grifted, scammed, and then joined forces with the media who love him for the ratings to screw over we the people. It's why I want to focus on the data. The data is the antidote for all of that fake contrived crap. And as I've always said, again, this isn't a Democratic thing versus a Republican thing. This MAGA mutation is different than what a Republican was. You know, I still have over here in the back, you may see over there, I have what Reagan had on his desk. It can be done. And Reagan also said there is no limit to what a man can do or where he can go if he doesn't try to hog all of the credit for himself. And, you know, even though I didn't like Reagan, I like those words. I agree with those words. But let's face it, Reagan and Bush let some of these, you know, people in. They let the Tea Party in. They let this MAGA thing in. And the MAGA mutation took over the Republican Party. And they just ain't the same party. And it's just not who it is. We're going to keep calling it out each and every time here on the show, and we're going to welcome people. Even if a MAGA person leaves tomorrow, welcome to the pro-democracy community where we, the people, love our flag, we love our Constitution, we love our country, and it's not just with idle words, it's with our actions every single day by building a better America together. That's what we do here in these United States of America. I want to take our last quick break of the show. We'll be right back with a lot more. Let's take the break. All right, are you ready for this fact? Traditional bed sheets can harbor more bacteria than a toilet seat. It can lead to acne, allergies, and stuffy noses. It's just gross. Miracle Made, however, offers a whole line of self-cleaning antibacterial bedding, such as sheets, pillowcases, and comforters that prevent up to 99.7% of bacteria growth and require up to 3 times less laundry. It's why I use Miracle Made on my bedding. Using silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, no matter the weather, so you get a better sleep every single night. It's why I love Miracle Sheets. Miracle Sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. So go to trymiracle.com/Meidas. Trymiracle.com/Meidas and try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save up to 40%. And if you use our promo code Meidas at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Meidas and use the code Meidas to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Meidas to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. You may assume that you're getting everything your body needs from your diet or simple green juice, but I recently discovered that most people, including myself, are still short on essential nutrients our bodies need to function at our best. So I've been taking Momentous Creatine Omega-3 and Protein daily to ensure that all of my bases are covered. These 3 supplements support nearly every aspect of my foundational health, from aiding my cognitive function to reducing inflammation in my muscles and joints, just to name a few. My Momentous daily protocol has become a staple in my health routine and makes the perfect addition to other wellness products that are part of my toolkit as well. Look, supplements can feel like a dirty word, and navigating the space can be daunting due to lack of trust and transparency in the space, but I've come to learn that I can trust Momentous, which makes the decision easier. My trust in Momentous is because of their dedication to working with the best, from their collaboration with experts to their unparalleled commitment to only using the highest quality ingredients. And they invest in third-party testing, holding their products to the same types of standards set by the most demanding organizations in the world, like the NFL and the NBA. They call it the Momentous Standard, which is really the industry's leading standard in quality. Look, there's a reason why the world's best athletes and experts use and help develop Momentous products. So If you're like me and you want to take supplements that are made by and used by the best in the world, go to livemomentous.com/MeidasTouch and use the code MeidasTouch to get up to 20% off your first order. That's livemomentous.com/MeidasTouch and use the code MeidasTouch. You heard the good news. Interest rates have dropped, and right now is the perfect time to call my friends at American Financing. They're a family-owned company that is helping people just like you create meaningful savings every month. They're salary-based mortgage consultants. Look at your full financial picture, all of your debts, including those frustrating credit card balances where you're paying upwards of 20 to 30% in interest payments every month. And they work with you to create a loan program where they wipe that all out and in some cases have some cash left over to create some emergency savings. American Financing is a true partner in helping you and your family save money. They never charge any upfront or hidden fees. It costs you absolutely nothing to find out how much you can save. Their average customer is saving over $800 a month. And if you start today, you may delay 2 mortgage payments. 866-886-2026. That's 866-886-2026, or visit americanfinancing.net/touch. That is americanfinancing.net/touch.
Wonderful ad reads there, big bro. Links in the description of both audio and the YouTube. And while I have y'all here, just real quick, remember the flash sale at store.MeidasTouch.com. Use code UNION for 10% off from today all the way through Monday. So definitely check that out, store.MeidasTouch.com. Get your best pro-democracy gear, 100% union made right here in the great US of A. Ben?
I just want to address the new background right here.
New background.
You may hear the dogs barking a little bit more than usual. I built out a new little studio out here. And so the dogs are sometimes barking when they see people around, but like, it's all good. The dogs are just, Taquito and Chiquito are going to become a major part of the show anyway. They already are. So
I got one note for you on the new background, Ben. It looks fabulous. When you look behind you to read stuff off your wall, either take your mic with you. We might need to get you a boom mic.
No, I would advise against taking the mic, but when you turn away from the mic, this is just you can't hear you when you.
It's tough. What we're trying to say is when you're not speaking into the mic, people have a hard time hearing you.
Yeah,
it's kind of like when you eat cereal with a spoon, and if you turn your mouth, like it won't.
Yeah.
We're gonna go.
You're supposed to speak into the microphone.
Hey, whatever helps you remember to speak into the mic, we'll be good. So if you want to use the spoon,
that's how I remember it. I want to show you this clip. Vice President Kamala Harris, of course, interviewing with Dana Bash. I was a little like, why are you doing CNN? Like, they're going to both sides all of the issues, but I think part of it was also a statement that because Dana Bash and Tapper did, this is my own view, did the debate, that she kind of wanted to go there, Vice President Kamala Harris, and be like, look, not only am I going to handle this interview, I'm going to just show that, like, it's almost like a redo of the Biden debate. There may be that there. I may be looking into it too much because, it's hard for me to really think about why else pick Dana Bash, who I think has not been a very effective pro-democracy advocate, we'll just say. But look even how she asks this question, like Dana Bash adopts the Trump frame. So Vice President Kamala Harris, you've been flip-flopping on all of these issues over time. What is your response? How can people trust you? I'm like, what is she flip-flopping on? She hasn't flip-flopped on anything, like anything major. Her values have been the same. I mean, she's the one who said that she would sign the bipartisan border deal. Donald Trump killed the border deal. So the fact that she's talking about the borders, how is that even a flip-flop? Was going to sign the legislation, Biden would, but she said, I'll sign the legislation. Trump's against it. Then you'll see Dana Bash mention the Green New Deal. I mean, the Green New Deal is a framework and a label, but Vice President Kamala Harris has always said that she believes climate change is a real thing and needs to be addressed. The Inflation Reduction Act and the Infrastructure Act both have billions, the biggest investments in climate change imaginable, and I think that where Republicans have been able to latch on to things like Green New Deal, woke, and all of the, and all of these ridiculous things to actually obfuscate from wait a minute, are we talking about policies that like actually help people's lives and like mean more jobs? And so Vice President Kamala Harris is like, I think that my values and principles have been the same, but watch this.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed.
So going back to what we said before, how like wondering, well, how is this even close? So there you had Vice President Kamala Harris being able to actually address the question, right? But that's how CNN is actually reporting it. And then oftentimes they'll call to a Trump person who will just reinforce that idea that there's been this flip-flopping. And that's exactly the messaging that Trump is getting out there. And it's like, there's no flip-flopping at all. Like, what are you talking about? So you have that, and that's coming from CNN. And by the way, she answered that question, I think, superbly. And then you have like Fox, where you have Governor Walz giving this incredible speech in Boston before the Firefighters Union there. And he's speaking about the middle class, about small businesses. And this is a message that would resonate with conservatives, right? Like this is a message that should resonate with anybody, who's, hardworking people. Like, let me show you what Governor Walz is saying. And notice how quickly, though, as he's saying things that would benefit us all, Fox just cuts away from it. Let's play this clip.
Some of you in here, and I'm going to say this because I know we're bipartisan. Some of the gray hairs in here, I know what you're thinking. And I remember it too, because it's my family. When Republicans used to talk about freedom, they meant it. They meant it. Not anymore. These guys over there, they want government to have the freedom to invade every corner of your life, from our union halls to our kids' schools, even our doctor's office. Vice President and I, we got a little bit different vision of this. We believe that you, not politicians, should be made free to make your own health care choices. We believe that workers deserve to collectively bargain for fair wages, safe working conditions, good health care, and secure retirement. No interference from government.
To Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota. He's also the vice presidential nominee for the Democratic ticket. He's speaking to the Firefighters Union in Boston, Massachusetts. About 350,000 members, Brett, and speaking there enthusiastically without notes, and they really want to get this union vote. I don't know, though, Brett, if the rank and file would agree with him.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that this is a pitch, a speech designed specifically for the union. A lot of talk about collective bargaining, a lot of talk about, issues that those union members talk about in those halls.
Yeah, I don't think that the rank and file is going to care about the main thing that rank and file cares about, collective bargaining. Why would the messaging of collective bargaining resonate with literal people whose main issue is collective bargaining? Take a look at the shirts that the union workers were wearing. I mean, the union workers were all dressed up in shirts today during J.D. Vance's speech that say Trump is a scab on it. So if I want to hear what the rank and file union workers are saying, I'll take a look right there. And they say scab. And also, why are people telling me what it is that people are saying? There's nothing more that bugs me. Just play his speech. well, I think he's talking. I know what he's saying. I can hear it. So can you stop talking over him, please? And that doesn't just go with Fox. Fox is egregious, or the most egregious. But when CNN and MSNBC and all these channels would cut away like from the DNC, so what they're trying to say is shut up. I want to hear what they're saying and not what you tell me they're trying to say. Let me listen to these ideas so I could form opinions if this is going to help me, my family, my community, my country, and the world. Like, let me do that, please. So I want to leave you all on that note right there, so you can see how we, the people together, can be the difference maker, though. By changing that dynamic, we can change the way news is provided and consumed. Brett, I'll give you the final word. I know we got to go to because I know there's something big that's about to happen, huh?
We want to watch the vice president's interview, and so we'll sign up shortly so you all can watch it as well. But I mean, it's the sad state of affairs that's our media landscape, right? That those are kind of the choices that a lot of people tune into when you have that CNN, both sides framing on one side, and then you have Fox on the other side. But that's why I'm so proud of what you've all built here with the MeidasTouch Network. That's why I'm so proud of you all watching and listening, sharing these videos, and saying enough of the both sides crap, right? Let's stop it. Fox is really, we're seeing right now, because they're like a wounded animal, right? They're lashing out in a way, and they are just being more blatant about their propaganda than they've ever been before. Like, it's so obvious now, and everything is gaslighting, and they view themselves as like they need to be trying to protect their bottom line in terms of getting Republicans in who are going to keep their taxes low and all the stuff. They view themselves as they need to protect the Republicans and Donald Trump at all costs. And it doesn't matter how far they need to go to gaslight and lie to the public, but that's what they have to do. If Donald Trump is losing in polls, Jesse Waters will literally say, Donald Trump's doing great in the polls. And they'll be like, no, you're not. And they'll be like, look at our own polls. They're Fox polls. Look at the Fox poll. It's our own internal poll. You see that message really resonating. That was the same crowd that JD Vance was in front of, that JD Vance got booed at today, to show you the differences, right? Governor Walz is there. He's delivering a message that is tailor-made for that audience, a message that he believes in, a message that he has fought for and implemented in his own state, a message that Kamala Harris actually was on the picket line with President Biden, fighting for union workers while they were collectively bargaining, while they were on strike. And they cut away and they try to gaslight their viewers because this would be good for their viewers. These are actual conservative principles, right? Get the government off my back, right? Let me do what I need to do as a worker and as an American. And that was so threatening to Fox that they needed to cut away and tell their viewers that what you're seeing is not what you're seeing. What you're seeing is actually bad. That was bad. That was bad stuff that you were seeing. And so that's the media environment we find ourselves in. But that's why, like I said before, I'm so proud of what we're all building here. 3 million subscribers, 29 million views every 48 hours. And guess what? That's more than Fox. That's more than Fox on digital. That's more than CNN. That's more than MSNBC, NBC, ABC, more than all of them. People are coming here to the MeidasTouch Network because of what we are seeing out there. So on that note, I just want to say thank you. And then I'm going to turn it over to Jordy. Jordy.
Shout out to the Meidas Mighty!
The Meidas Mighty standing strong against the fascists. We sing our song. We will get it right whenever.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. The film Against All Enemies, which I co-produced with Ben Meiselas and this network, has won awards around the world for its up-close portrayal of America's insurrectionist movement. It premieres in the U.S. on March 29th on Amazon and Apple TV. Go to againstalllenemiesfilm.com or click the link below. But don't just watch Against All Enemies. Tell your friends about it. It's one more way to hold accountable those who threaten our democracy. Thanks, Meidas Mighty. Let's use our power well.